Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Let the filibustering begin.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Hello podcasts, and welcome to week 2 of our Edinburgh Film Festival coverage, and we've got a big interview to kickstart our second week. We've still got another 7 days of interviews, reviews and fun to go, so hopefully you'll join us for the ride again. We can share this roundtable interview I took part in with Anna Paquin, Stephen Moyer and Denis O'Hare for Parting Glass. Parting Glass is a powerful, moving and beautifully structured drama about family, love and loss, and it provides a perfect platform for a series of striking performances. Driven by a core team of true blood alumni, director Stephen Moyer, star Anna Paquin and writing and star Denis O'Hare, this film follows a family reeling from their younger sister's death as they embark on a journey to collect the remnants of her life. The family delve into past memories to piece together a portrait of the woman they lost. The film marks Stephen Moyer's directorial debut, with the astute script providing a wonderful platform for a talented group of actors. O'Hare, Melissa Leo and Cynthia Nixon star as siblings who reminisce about their younger sister, played by Anna Paquin, as they make their way to her apartment to sort through items that spark memories. In a long drive across a chilly landscape, the siblings are joined by their sister's husband, their father, and the film charts how a close-knit family deals with grief and loss, with laughter, tears and muddled memories. I hope you'll enjoy this roundtable interview with 3 amazing actors, and I hope that you'll share in their passion and excitement for this movie. Enjoy.
I suppose my first kind of question would be to yourself, Denis. I mean, this comes from a very personal place.
Yeah.
For you, I mean, how did you find that process of sitting down to write that screenplay and where it evolved from there?
You know, I guess part of it was a mental trick, which is that I figured I'd never make it, so I didn't worry about what I wrote. I really did kind of think, well, I'll never actually make it, because you shouldn't and you can't, because I can't, my family will kill me. So I didn't worry about it. And then once it was written, and then we started seriously talking about making it, that was a whole other thought process about, oh my God. The funny thing is that there are a couple names in the movie I never changed of actual people, and we only discovered late, and I was like, I never changed those names. Because we went through a long process of actually figuring out. Getting clearance, but also protecting my family. I don't want them to have the same names. And so it was a mental trick about, it will never get made, therefore don't worry about, sparing anybody's feelings, just write what you want to write.
Obviously, it's your directorial debut, and you guys have all worked together before, but acting together, how different was it for you to direct the film rather than be acting with everybody?
I was lucky enough to have done that with these guys before on True Blood as a director. I think therefore there was a shorthand. There's not a little trust that goes into that as well. Obviously, this is a very specific story to Denis and his own personal life, and so there was never a moment that I wasn't aware of the weight that carried for me in terms of being in charge of telling that story, and wanting to honour not only Denis but obviously Kathleen, who had died, and Denis's family, but also the sort of elasticity that's needed within that to try and tell a piece of entertainment that the audience will leave, with something, that they will be able to sort of go away and talk about, whether it be, mental health or some hope in some way, So that's the kind of weight that one carries, and but the one thing that I never questioned was these guys' trust or worrying about that, because I felt very connected, still do, to both of them in terms of lifting me through it.
And what do you guys hope that this film's going to bring that's new to the sort of discussion that's very prevalent right now about mental health?
It's funny, early on we talked about ways to sort of, not just financing, but partner with people, and I always felt a little oogie about it, about trying to exploit the idea of suicide to partner, and I'm glad we didn't do that.
We nearly had we had somebody who was part of a charity for suicide, who at one point was going to give us money, which we were very thankful for, because it's a very, very hard movie to get made financially. but we all kind of, there was difficulties attached to it because there's certain ways that each charity wants the story to be told, and we didn't want to be told how to tell the story.
Yeah. And it's not a simple issue. It's not a simple story. We're not saying here's the answer, here's what happened, and here's what you can do not to have that happen. That's not that kind of story. This is a story about. This is one story about what happened to one person and one family, and this is how they reacted. It's weird that it's landing in this moment with this attention. I think it's all good. I think that anybody's going to watch it, they'll take away their personal reaction, and I think whatever they take away from it, maybe they won't feel quite as isolated.
And I think the other thing that I think that hopefully we manage to do is, and what Denis's screenplay does, is it's not only about it's about truth, and sometimes truth is ugly, and but that's okay, and that is, if that's what you come out thinking, that truth, that maybe one's own experience of one's own scenario has made you feel selfish or guilty, or in some respect due to something that happened to you, that's also okay. Human frailty and human failure is part and parcel of the makeup of who we all are, and that's okay, and that's what people don't usually talk about.
Also, what Anna gets to really well in the movie is this idea that who is this person? And there's a multiplicity to the person, because of course there is no real objective answer. There is who that person is to different people, and that's so beautifully portrayed in the movie. And at the end of the day, why did she kill herself? There is no possible answer, and we're watching with Anthony Bourdain, they're trying to figure out, was it this, was it that? And what do we, what does that answer give you if you get the sort of facts in front of you? And I don't think it really gives you anything ultimately. I mean, it's always going to be a puzzle, a strange puzzle.
So that kind of segues nicely into my question. Thank you very much.
We rehearsed that.
Anna, how do you kind of approach playing a character who only exists in characters' memories and different memories and responses to that?
Well, I mean, basically, as if each little individual vignette is its own person that has integrity and truth in that scene, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with what I'm tracking or playing in any of the other scenes. And there's actually something kind of really freeing and really wonderful about that, because obviously you can't sort of erase knowing what you did in some other scene or knowing where the character is sort of supposed to have gone, but being allowed to just respond to the sibling whose memory it is, and not actually trying to fit them all together into one piece of one puzzle, because that's not what we're doing, and that's not the story we're telling, which is kind of, I mean, as an acting exercise, quite sort of interesting, just sort of like on the page, as far as being somebody who doesn't exist in anything other than memory.
And it's also a twofold issue, because not only were these guys, specifically Anna, obviously, and Denis's writing of that character, not only is it just the memory of whomever's thinking about that person, but also we all are different with specific people. Mm-hmm. So I might be incredibly vulnerable with Anna, but never let anybody else see that, or I might be really needy with a friend because I know that they're going to give me that part of myself which I might not ever let anybody else see, which I think it's a fascinating human frailty again, and that's one of the elements that I think we sort of try to show, but also the fallibility of memory as well. So it's a difficult conundrum.
Being that this is a very personal story, I just wondered how long was this a conversation between yourselves? Because you know each other very well, and how much did you kind of have input on the script writing process?
It's weird because there's story and then there's structure. There is a script and then there's a film, and obviously a script is nothing if it's not made. It doesn't matter. And so ultimately, to make a script into a movie is a collaborative process. And we spent a lot of time talking about, what does this movie mean? Is it Danny's movie? Is it an ensemble movie? Should we promote this element more? Should it be funnier? Should it be not? Is it funny enough? Is it too funny? All these things, and also just pace stuff. And there were so I wrote a script, showed it to these guys, got notes. We went back and forth. I remember we actually did a technical exercise once, which is crazy, about getting a page count down to satisfy a budget. Mm-hmm. So we went through word by word about the stage directions, which are, I learned a lot in that process.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was great, because I'm more of a theater writer, so stage directions are a different animal. Shaw wrote like that. Well, in the film, it's a very different exercise, and I learned a lot about that. And we were just trying to be as lean as possible, but there's a form of poetry in the stage directions. And again, you guys don't ever get to read the stage directions. It's a weird exercise, but it impacts the page count. That impacts the budget. That impacts the financing. So there's a lot of processes. There's the writing process, the collaboration process, the filming process, the editing process.
It's fascinating, actually, because you can literally save a day shooting by taking all the ands out of a script, which sounds bananas. But when you look at a 100-page script, say, that's a 22-day shoot, right? So
page count equals
page
days.
count equals days.
Yeah.
Days equals money.
It's crazy.
Money equals overall budget.
Yeah.
And literally
But,
comes down to...
But, just to finish what Dennis was saying a little bit about the comedy, I was so worried because it's such a difficult subject matter, that you're kind of going, we want to entertain the audience. And the first cut was almost raucous.
Well, the first read through,
yeah.
We were like stunned. It was like,
because it was very funny. But the problem is that when I put that together, and I was very happy, and I thought, wow, we've got a really interesting, difficult, dark, very funny film. The problem was that when you put that in front of people who don't have the history of knowing these characters, knowing us, don't have the shorthand that we have, and they see these characters for the first time laughing on this day, on this particular day, it makes them look callous. And so at that point you're going, no, because to honour the story and to give the audience a chance and to honour the characters as well, so that you hopefully, because it's okay for them to be ugly, it's okay for them to have emotions and be and dark thought and selfishness because of what they're going through. But you have to kind of understand that. You can't then have them laughing on top of it in a way that
not straight out.
In a way that
earn that.
you have to earn it from the audience.
Yeah.
So
and you teach them.
Yeah.
It's a real tightrope,
Yeah.
and it was a difficult one to do.
But even something as simple as the way it was written, there was a prologue scene, which is with Danny getting the news in his kitchen with his boyfriend in his house, and having a very strong reaction, and then we cut to being inside the car. Mm-hmm. And we went back and forth on that for a long time about, yes, we have to have it because it does this. No, we don't need it because it doesn't do that. And ultimately, we shot it. We shot it. We cut it out, and the movie doesn't need it. But you don't know that stuff.
No.
Until you start playing with it.
And was it the final day? It was one of the last days we shot that.
Yeah,
it was late.
It was the last day.
Yeah, it's my cousin's house.
And it was this beautiful tracking shot, all one shot.
Oh God,
and we spent hours on it,
getting the phone to lay just right, and
And then you're just like, fuck it, take it out. After all that work, and it's just, but it's better for it.
That's why I do think it's such a weird process that you have an idea, you write, you produce a script, but then that script is the blueprint for the ultimate reality, which is the film, and the film is a marriage of all these elements, and it doesn't happen by itself. And I'm so glad I didn't write it, direct it, because I have now a conversation with Stephen, and he's going to make me justify, push back, interrogate, suggest, improve, And that's not going to happen if I'm the writer, director, actor. And so I think it's really great to get some air into a piece, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose kind of you've all kind of touched on this. Kind of I'm interested in kind of the finance and sort of thing, because you're all, if I'm correct, you're all involved in this in a producing capacity as well. Was it a challenge to produce and finance a feature that dealt with this subject matter?
Yes.
And being able to tell it the way you want it?
Yes. It was incredibly, every single penny that was scraped together was very, very, very difficult. And a lot of people were very compassionate passers on being involved in it, because they ultimately putting money into a film that you are not guaranteed.
You know you're not going to make your money back on something like this.
You know, it's just most people don't have that kind of luxury of being able to sort of invest something in something because they just really care about it.
You know,
exactly.
It's never ideal to rush a shoot, but you know, we did this in 18 days, and on that very first day we did the diner scene, which I love that scene, and that's an 11-page scene, and that's a lot, and it's the first time that we had really met Ed, and Ed's brother had just died.
He'd just come from a funeral.
Yeah.
He'd just come from the funeral and
had flown in at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
He got in at 2 o'clock in the morning. He was on set at 6.
He's 85.
And he's 87.
He had all the lines. He had to drive the scene.
And he's driving the scene. And anyway, but that's not the question, the financial question. But the thing is that, as Anna said, a lot of people who understand what you're trying to do but just don't have the money, and so you're scraping. We all ended up working for nothing. You know, because when you're doing a budget,
it's like, okay, which line item can we get rid of? Okay, my paycheck, your paycheck, your paycheck.
Yeah.
It's like, who can we defer?
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
you know, you've already got Cynthia and Melissa and Reese and whomever else working for equity minimum, for SAG minimum, and then, which is great, but you're not going to ask them to redonate their money. They're not producers on the show,
right?
So we have to get paid because it's SAG rules,
crew
DGA rules,
paid.
Directors Guild rules. I have to be paid.
But we reinvested our own.
But we then put the money back in. You know, just to, you know, and sometimes it's about being able to afford knives and forks on the table, feeding the crew. And so it was.
But one of the things that was very pleasing and sort of good to see was how many people were willing to work within our budget because of the nature of the material, and that people that we did get, you know, on sort of resource-wise, access to a lot of things that we just certainly couldn't afford. No. That because people felt very moved by the story we were telling, and that's always really, really nice to sort of feel like, you know, the people who can are going to, and the people who really couldn't were always very gracious about saying no. But you know, it's really meaningful when, you know, people ultimately will open up there, like, okay, well, you can borrow this, you can use this, you can borrow our location, you can use all these costumes, you can, you know, we'll give you what we've got.
But we can't give you money.
But we can't give you money, like, because you also need, there's a lot of stuff that goes into, for lack of a better word, that goes into making a film.
Even like storing things overnight. It's like, where do you put the cameras? Where do you put the camera cart? That all costs money.
Yeah.
And it has to be insured because the equipment's worth $1 million, at least. So somebody giving us space to literally have a lockup is invaluable.
Yeah.
Because it has to be insured, you know.
I think one of the things that was beautiful about the movie was how into it the crew was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're also not making a lot of money, so their motivation is a little different. Why take this job? Why be the sound guy in this job? And because they read the script and they go, yeah, I want to be part of that. Yeah. And that's
really,
a
story that needs to be told.
And one of
I love that.
One of the bizarre things is, and this, I don't know, I've been very lucky in this regard, I think. Somebody came up to me, big, awesome Canadian grip, came up to me on the last night, making this project about this particular stuff, this particularly difficult subject matter. And we were at the Rat Party. It's like minus 25 degrees centigrade. We're in this bar in Toronto, and I was just leaving. I'd sort of done the Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
I was walking out without getting seen.
I did it last night.
And he came and grabbed me big, 6'5", hair down to here, covered in tats. And he said, "This is the most beautiful production I've ever worked on. We laughed, it was fun. What an amazing group of people."
Well, it really becomes a pretty intense team sport because nobody is comfortable like everything is a little bit miserable all of the time, and everyone just has to kind of roll their sleeves up
and therefore it brings you together.
And it really bonds you really quickly.
Yeah.
And the people who are not going to be good, who are not really down for that kind of thing, are going to fall off quite quickly. And, it's the hardcore, Yeah,
Cerise is our co-producer. Cerise managed to get, with Anna, this Canadian clothing company to donate some coats for us, which there were leftovers of. So all the crew were just coming in and borrowing all of that stuff.
Because we needed them.
Well,
and it was just...
We're trying really hard not to freeze people to death. I mean, that's
we
kind
get to
of
the
like
end of the day,
page 1.
and it would be, Ed is still alive.
Yeah,
we've done it.
Yeah.
How much more have we got to do with this?
Okay, we didn't break Ed. But seriously,
that was a serious conversation.
You've got lots of exterior, slippery, icy environments where people who are very young and very fit and completely, not 85 years old, are falling over and hurting themselves.
And you can't get hurt, and you can't get sick, and you got sick the first day of shooting.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think that was nerves, but anyway.
Yeah. No, I was
He was sick.
I know. I just think it was psychologically. There was a lot. There was a lot going into that first day.
Yes.
That we didn't have nailed down totally.
You've talked already about how it's a story that needs to be told. So, are you surprised that more charities weren't willing to be involved and put some of that financial backing to it?
Again, to me, it's a work of art and not an issue piece. You know what I mean? It's not a piece that exists for a cause. It's a story. It happens to intersect with a cause. Yeah. And so I was sort of really
that wasn't
funny
a
about
financial
that.
Sort of road we went terribly far down. It was more that we kind of encountered a few
but as I touched on,
resources that wanted to, and then it just...
As I touched on earlier, they come with parameters. We don't want to see the character do this.
Yeah.
We don't want the character blah, blah, blah. We would prefer if that wasn't seen on screen.
What was even, I think, sorry for speaking out of turn, part of being like, well, but that's not how it actually happens. That's not how people respond. And you go, hi, we
That's
did.
Exactly what happens.
That's exactly what happens. How having someone rewrite the version of a very personal tragedy, and then in exchange for money is just not what we were doing.
And now that it exists, and it's out in the world and gets a bigger platform.
But it's the movie we wanted to make.
Yes. Now I would have no problem if someone said, we would love to show this and have a discussion afterward, and we'd love to partner with this organization.
And we will definitely be doing that down the line.
I would love it. Because I think it can be a tool, a useful tool. Yeah. I think it'd be great.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.
Welcome to Nerd Party.